All right, we're live. All right, I'm Mike Weissman of the Real Main Team at Keller Williams Realty.
Hey everybody, I am Matt Deshane of the Real Main Team at Keller Williams Realty.
And this is a live broadcast with some newer technology. Usually Matt and I are in the office in Portland, sitting next to each other in our conference room. But we are now under COVID-19 conditions, and as such, we are broadcasting from our homes. So this is new technology for us to bring us together on the screen, and then we're going to additionally try to share a screen and give you some information today, updates about what's happening with real estate under COVID-19.
Exactly. So for a little while, the news on what was allowed, how we're doing stuff was changing almost every day. Mm-hmm. And now that the methods and the information has settled down, and we're able to kind of process it and understand it, we wanted to put together a PowerPoint to share with you guys. As you can imagine, Mike and I have had a ton of questions. Mm-hmm. How does this affect me? How can I still buy? How can I still sell?
Right.
So we want to just go over a basic PowerPoint, kind of explaining how things are working. Of course, any specific questions, just reach out to us directly. We can go over your own situation.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. Pull it up right here. Okay, sharing screen now. So, Matt, you tell me when you can see the screen. Give me a thumbs up. So
okay.
You got it?
No. I'm just saying, okay, I'll tell you when.
Okay. So, coming up here, let's just have a second. Okay, right there. We should be sharing a screen now. Tell me when it comes on.
All set. We're good.
All set? Okay. Yeah. All right. So the title of our presentation this afternoon, and it's a quick one, guys. This is not going to be very long. We're going to try to keep it like 10 minutes or less. Might go over a little bit. So, but bear with us. It's new technology. So how have real estate operations adapted? This is going to be your guide to successfully buying or selling your home during COVID-19. All right.
Perfect.
So, Matt, I'll run the slides, and you take over.
All right. Thank you, Mike. So, as I mentioned, news is changing all the time, but Governor Mills officially declared real estate as an essential business. Mm-hmm. That's her proclamation here on the right side of your screen. And the reason for this is life events continue to happen. So deaths, divorce, marriages, maybe you're living with someone who has corona and you're immunocompromised, you need to get out. So there's real events in life that make people need to move their situations. So now's not the time to be buying or selling, for fun, mm-hmm. like you'd be upgrading a car. This is for people who seriously need to make a move. The government allows it. So.
Excellent. Okay.
Face-to-face contacts discouraged. They want us to follow all precautions, mm-hmm. and towns can impose further restrictions.
Right, and certain ones have.
Which they have, beyond what the state mandates. So Cape Elizabeth has, last I heard, has stopped all transactions, including all short-term rentals, Airbnbs. Mm-hmm. A lot of town, I think the whole state actually has stopped Airbnbs.
That's right.
And that's true, right, Mike?
Yes.
I know you run a couple Airbnbs.
Yep. They've all been shut down for now.
Okay. And then Portland, as of yesterday, which is April 15, they approved of real estate now within city limits. Before, we couldn't do any real estate. However, there are further restrictions to multifamilies. So if you're trying to sell a house that has tenants in it, and you're an owner that's not living there, give us a call because there's a few other things you want to be aware of. So.
Right. Okay. Excellent. All right. So we've got some new methods of operating to reduce contact, be safe, and keep everybody healthy. So Matt, give us a rundown on this.
Yeah, exactly. So, a lot of good technology has come into play to make this as low impact as possible in terms of your continual operations and business. So that's good. 10, 20 years ago, guys, this would have been a lot different. Everything would have grinded down, but we're doing video chats right now.
Yep.
Obviously, everything's through phone and email. For those of you who have worked with Mike and I before, you've probably signed documents electronically. That obviously has rolled out to pretty much every corner of the real estate transaction. The last piece was the closings. A closing is typically done in the presence of a title attorney or a closing agent. At the very minimum, they're a notary public. Right. So Maine was holding out that they didn't want remote closings because they wanted that done in person. basically to avoid fraud. Maine has had emergency legislation go through, which I believe either was just signed or is about to be signed by
That's
Governor
right.
Mills,
Yes.
allowing for these remote closings. So now you can effectively buy a house completely virtually. We do recommend a last minute actual showing of the home so you know what it looks like, but you technically everything's in play. You could go from finding it online to closing and getting the keys without ever stepping foot inside the home, which is kind of crazy, but it happens.
Yep. In fact, Matt and I just had a closing this morning, and the closing was essentially the buyers and sellers signed remotely. So it does work, and it is a way to deal with the situation right now. So, yep, totally possible.
Cool.
Alrighty. Other strategies to do business safely that we're taking advantage of right now.
So, of course, proper use of PPE, protective equipment. So, for those showings that need to happen, whether you're a buyer or a seller, we want everybody, having gloves that they change before and after the showing, masks, and just making sure everyone's paying attention and not touching everything. For people who are selling homes, pre-inspections are a great idea because you can you can control access to your home better, such as what time they can come through and who's coming through. Have it work around your own schedule. Showings are restricted to non-overlapping time slots, and ideally with a time buffer between. So maybe a showing will be from 1 to 1:45. The next one will be 2 to 2:45. 3 to 3:45. That way people don't come in contact. Doors are left unlocked and open if possible. If there's animals or kids, or if it's cold, obviously that can't happen. And lights are left on, so no one has to play with switches.
Right.
And showings are limited on both sides for buyers who are 100% serious. So the way that I've heard it explained, which makes sense, is you're basically buying the house already. You just need a showing to make sure it's not unlike what you imagined. And that's kind of how we're doing it.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. So while a lot of things have changed, certain things I think you'll find have not changed about the market. Most notably, like we've been talking about here, closings are still happening, right? They're happening virtually, but they are still happening.
Yeah, so some things haven't changed, and this is our little slide on the pulse of the market. Little snapshot here. Portland and the surrounding towns, so the ones that physically touch it, had 39 closings in the past 14 days. So is it as robust as a usual spring market? No, but it's still pretty healthy for the middle of a pandemic. It could be shifting towards a buyer's favor if demand drops further. Interest rates, then this is what plays into that. So interest rates have been changing hourly and obviously daily too, and were last rising.
Right.
And lenders, because of perceived risk in the market, are now tightening their restrictions on loans, which is what could lead to that lower buyer demand, which could have an implication on prices. This is all speculation. It's just the information in the market as Mike and I read it. So.
Right. I think that last point is really crucial, as we definitely have seen certain lenders, and like Matt said, every lender will have different terms depending who the underwriter is, which the bank it is. But we definitely have seen lenders in the face of now being faced with dealing with a lot of the forbearance, or people unable to pay their mortgages, landlords unable to collect rents. So the lending side, the risk is now, let's say, increased to a lender,
right?
And we have seen them tightening up their borrowing requirements, making it looking for higher qualified buyers, higher credit scores than we would see, better debt to income ratios, meaning less debt, more income than we would normally see. For self-employed, potentially more reserves on hand, things of that nature. So that definitely will have. There's always a ripple effect. Nothing happens in a vacuum. So as necessary and needed as it is to get relief from millions of people out of work, to give them that relief, to keep the economy moving, keep people solvent, by going forward, the banks are taking note of that. The lenders taking note of that, and will tighten their lending going forward to minimize as much as possible their exposure to those potential situations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening. And if you have specific questions on loans, Mike and I are, come to us for general questions. Your lender is the best resource to find out how this has affected you.
Right. And we're keeping tabs on which lenders are still able to do certain loans. So reach out to us. We can point you in the right direction.
Yep.
Okay. So here's some frequently asked questions, which is essentially what we just talked about. How will this affect my current pre-qualification?
Right.
So we just mentioned credit score minimums and qualified income targets have changed. So check with your lender to see if you have been affected.
Exactly.
Okay. This next point here, will the housing market crash like 2008? Interesting question. Right now, it seems not likely. So we're answering that question as a no. It's the underlying economy is different and stronger. The economy is stronger than it was now. And I think notably here, what's important to realize in 2008, what really drove the big downturn in real estate was lending practices that weren't as strong, 110, 120%, loan to value ratios, borrowing more than your house is actually worth, easy credit, right? Banks over leveraging themselves, overextending credit. People that should never have got a mortgage got mortgages. So you had a lot of fundamental underpinnings that were very weak. It was a weak foundation going into that '08. So when it crashed, the housing market came crumbling down. There was also a lot more inventory on the market. The houses were much more available, whereas now it's a relatively tight inventory, stronger demand. And lending really for the last number of years since that fallout, really 2012 and the recovery, lending has been much tighter with much more stringent, requirements to get a loan. So we don't see the same fundamentals at work. But not to say, like Matt just mentioned, that a prolonged quarantine, no one knows. We're in uncharted, unknown territory.
Right.
Okay. And that last point is what if I'm a landlord with tenants who are out of work? So many financial institutions are offering payment modifications during this term. The state has mandated no evictions during this crisis. So landlords cannot evict. So that's a benefit if you're a tenant that can't afford to be paying rent right now. But the bottom line here, I think that the necessary thing is communication. So be communicating with the bank, with your landlord, with your creditors to adjust payments. Don't wait for the late notices of the bills. Be preemptive and proactive. I think you'll find that most people will be willing to work with you.
And if I can add to that, Mike, so there are resources for homeowners and landlords, who might need payment assistance. So if you have questions, reach out. We can help point you. But one of the best resources from personal experience is going to your own credit union. The institution that my mortgage is held at is Infinity Credit Union here. They have a branch in Portland and Westbrook, and they are offering all of the members who have mortgages 3 months with no payments. Not every bank's doing that. They're one of the only ones. They're all different. But give them a call and see what happens.
Okay. I'm just going to stop the screen share. All right. Little confusion there with the screen. So, all right. So now we're back on camera, Matt. So screen share is over. So that's Perfect. It. There's a quick roundup. We tried to keep it to 10 to 12 minutes of just to give you an idea of what has been happening here in the market. As you guys know, who are subscribers to our channel, we were always trying to put out 1, 2, 3 videos a week. And in the COVID, whole situation, it's taken us a while to get ramped back up to that. But our goal is to bring you at least 2 videos, maybe even 3 a week, for what we can do using the technology from our homes.
Yeah, so we're glad you guys joined us. We hope this was helpful, and we may explore going more in depth in the future on buyer and seller topics related to this, but this was a way to get going and see what information you guys are looking for. So.
Right. And if you have any suggestions for any videos or topics that you would like to see, post them in the comment thread below. We're going to be doing some virtual tours of neighborhoods using Google Maps, looking at what listings are available, what types of homes are commonly available in those areas. Using the tools we have, since we can't get out on the street together like we normally do and walk along with our cameras, we're going to do that, from our desks essentially, and sort of take you on these virtual tours and answer your questions. So there'll be a little more live type of content, a little bit more or less produced than you might be used to seeing from us. But nonetheless, we want to keep the value coming.
Right.
Any last words, Matt?
I think you covered it well, Mike. I'm glad we were able to put this together for everybody. It's we're just trying to get the information, process it, and relate to you guys as best we can. So happy we had the chance.
That's right. All right. So in the meantime, go ahead, if you haven't hit the little subscribe button down below, the little bell, so you'll get notified of new new videos as they come out. And stay tuned, and we'll be back in touch with you. See you back in touch real soon.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone. Feel good. Be safe. Stay well.
See ya.
Okay. Bye-bye.